Today, I have a guest maybe you've heard of because he's a pretty big deal nowadays. And we all know that keyboards are freaking expensive, right? Things get up to $1,000, $3,000, maybe sometimes $4,000. But this other hobby, one that I'm barely scratching the surface of, I've already thrown in a big chunk of money in it so far. And things here get really expensive, or at least I think they do. You know, I'm still a noob. But my guest today, Crinacle, or Crinacle Plus, as he's now known as, he's an expert in these things, and we're gonna get to know like what he thinks of my audio setup, what his is. So here he is. Please welcome Crinacle to the stream.
Hi. So I'm Crinacle. Most people know me as one of the biggest nerds in the headphone/IEM space.
Okay, I have one question. Does this bother you right here? My right side has like one notch and my left side has like 5 notches.
Now that you pointed it out, it slightly irks me.
Okay,
Why is it like that?
Let me see if I could fix. I don't know. Chat was really bothered.
Is it a comfort thing?
Maybe my head's
Maybe it's a comfort thing. Anything works, honestly. I'm actually a little bit more offended by the fact that I think you might be using different pads.
From the original? Yeah, I changed them out.
Is it Dakoni pads?
Yes, is that offensive to you?
I don't know, because in a way I'm kind of curious on that. Like I like using the stock pads on the 6XX. Is that the 6XX?
These are the 58X, I think.
58X.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not fancy enough.
Okay, so
for
honestly,
6X.
I haven't tried that, so I will reserve all comments until I hear the 58X.
I guess we start with, how did you get into this bass?
I wanted better headphones. I think that's what most people start out with, right? Like one day they just wake up and like, I just want to buy something better.
And
I did. Better than, like, what did you start out with? Like, you know,
those
like
Apple,
those
free Apple
yeah,
ones?
exactly,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
freebie stuff, right? Yeah. So I started out with that as well. You know, I'm not like Jesus Christ. You know, I started out with humble beginnings, and then I decided I want better headphones, and then I did. My first headphone, which I purchased back in 2009, was the Audio-Technica M50, the original one. No X, no S, just M50. Things just start snowballing from there. I started buying more and more stuff. My professional career didn't really take off until like 2016.
Did you start writing right away, or did you just like try them out?
I kind of did. I kind of started writing in like 2011. It was very cringy. I'm sure people can find my early works.
For reference,
I'm not proud of them.
How old are you? Is this NDA?
It is a secret, but I usually tell people I'm either 19 or 29 or 39.
So you started writing in 2011 and then got serious in 2016.
2016, I started out with the measurements, which is what I'm known for now. That was my hook, basically. That was what people got. That's what got people
coming. Okay.
Yeah, looking for my reviews. And then I started my website in 2019, and then I restarted my YouTube channel in late 2021, late last year. And then I started my new channel this year.
Did you buy any external accessories? You know, the amp DAC stuff that people talk about all the time?
I did. Near the beginning, it was like a Fio something. I used to own this old piece of technology called the Simoy, the Chumoy, Simoy BB.
I might be too beginner or too young. I'm not sure.
No, but I'm sure your editor will probably put up something there.
Yeah, something. I have my mini collection of audio things that I've gotten, into throughout the years. And my first thing, don't judge too much, it is the HyperX Cloud 2s. Very
Those
comfy.
are extremely popular
They got
headphones.
phrase on the top because I think these are like 4 years old. But I didn't know of anything else while I was using these. Now I have an updated version that's like their Bluetooth version, and now that I'm more educated, I'm like, oh, that's a V curve, I'm getting educated. I think it is. It's the bass and the treble is pretty intense.
I haven't tested the Cloud like properly, so I'll reserve comments because it's been a long time since I heard like HyperX Clouds, but I have heard actually good things about them.
They're very comfortable. I don't know about sound. After that, I went into something a little more expensive. I saw someone else wear these with the gray pads, and I was like, they look so cool. Let me buy some. These are the DT990 Pros 80 ohms. I used them for a little bit. but they were very, very sharp, I guess. I don't know how you would say. I looked it up. There's a word for it. Is it sibilant? No.
Sibilant. Yeah,
Is it sibilant?
It's a good descriptor of Bayer dynamics. Bayer dynamics in general are just very notorious for their treble. So I'm surprised that you went all the way down to the 990.
Well, I didn't know anything. I just wanted the gray pads. I just wanted
because the most popular model, I believe, is the 770.
And those are the closed back ones?
Yes.
Right.
Because most people see them like their favorite musicians using them in the studios and like, I want that as well, and then just buy it.
Yeah, I wanted the gray pads, but then I started using them and I was like, I cannot listen to this.
It's too sharp.
Yeah, it's way too sharp. That's probably all I've spent on. Oh, and these, the drop Sennheiser
58X. Very popular as well.
Yeah, probably
I do have a
my
question.
favorite.
Why do you choose the 58X as opposed to the arguably more popular 6XX?
I think at the time I just didn't have the extra money to spend. This was a while back, so I think everyone here knows that I make enough money where I could probably go and buy 6XXs. It's just I already have these, and then I don't want another pair. I have my Sennheiser PC38Xs. I have 37Xs, and it's like I'm starting to hoard. I look like a hoarder already.
Hey, I myself am using Sennheisers as well. The 800 S's.
How much are those?
1,700. They might have revised the price, but
I don't think I'm going that far. I haven't even spent $1,500 on a keyboard, you know.
But then you said that this is a much more expensive hobby.
That's right. It is a more
justifiable.
So between what you have and what I have, what's the biggest difference here? Like if I put those on, would I instantly be like, oh my gosh, like where have these been my whole life?
I would say yes if you're going that far, like this, like from what you're wearing to this. Mostly the reason why I use this is because it's what most audiophiles would consider the widest sounding headphone. You hear everything all around you that literally no other headphone is able to do as well. I think that's the most immediate thing that you would hear out of the 800Ss, that is just so much more open sounding. Then maybe the second thing that comes in would be that it's a little bit sharp. It's a lot sharper than the 58X, I think. I do not get to try a lot of things from drop.
Oh, I was going to ask you about mechanical keyboards. How much have you spent in total in mechanical keyboard land? Yeah.
I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I can say the original GMMK, a set of Kale box whites.
Oh, clicky.
Yeah, I love clickies. My friend, again, Mr. ZX Mac, came up to me and said, hey, I would like to build you a keyboard, but I hate clickies, so you're gonna have to settle for tactiles. So I'm like, all right, give me the best tactiles you know then. And then he gave me like Holy Bulbas, which apparently needs 2 sets of switches.
Yes,
both of which I paid for, of course.
You take them apart and then you like put the parts together, and then the other parts
switch.
You don't need anymore.
But then I am in contact with this store called Epo Maker. I'm not sure if you heard of them. And they've basically sponsored me an Arco Mod 007 with the neon keycaps. And then basically for this build, the only thing I had to pay for was the Holy Pandas and the Boba U4T.
Oh, okay.
And then beyond that, I'm not sure where to go up from here. Maybe I'll be thinking about Alps. Alps.
Those are sort of rare. They're hard to get a hold of.
Where else up? Where else is there to go? Right?
That's true.
Unless you think there's a better clicky than Kells.
You have to watch my clicky tier list. Yeah.
I did see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all agreed.
Jades and navies are better. I haven't thought about mechanical keyboards until I realized that the overlap between the audiophile world and the keyboard world
I know. It's sort of crazy. That's why I was like, I need to talk to Crinacle. I need to learn about these people. Like, here's why
I do have a theory.
You have a
Yeah,
theory.
I do have a theory. Yeah, it's because like both sides are obsessed with sound in one way or another.
Yeah, that's a good theory. My theory was, it's so much lower level compared to your theory. My theory was just like they like spending money on things that
that might be true as well, because apparently the overlap is between three, which is one is mechanical keyboards, then there's the audiophile, and then there is fountain pens.
Yes, fountain pens. I've noticed
the fountain
that
pens
too.
one I still don't know how to link, because that one has nothing to do with sound.
I think it's like a collectible kind of, like maybe a...
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Where
we're all hoarders in our own right.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing to have overlap. I think there's something going on here.
Though. Yeah, I even see like some people in chat like, I can't believe Switch and Click and Crinacle are collabing now. I was
yeah, they're like, oh, two YouTubers that I both know. It's like, well, that's weird. I mean, we sort of expected this. But... So most of the things that I have are all under $200. My IEMs were like $25 from Moondrop.
Oh, that's the Aria. No, that's the SSP.
I don't know what they're named, but they were like $30, and I got them, and I was like, yeah, I sort of like them. That's what I'm using in the IEM space, but all of my other headphones are under 200. At what point of spending does it like start doing this diminishing returns kind of curve?
Yeah, that's a very common question there, Lovely. It really depends. It really depends on personal like individual opinions on worth, because to one person they'll be like, I like the freebie earbuds well enough, and if something is free, it means that anything above that
is a waste of money.
Becomes it becomes diminishing returns.
If I was willing to spend $800, when would it start, being like not as worth?
I want to say 300.
300?
I want to say 300.
Wow, so I'm close. I just need to make that extra purchase, whatever that is.
I mean, that's assuming like, all right, you know what? I want to spend like about $1,000 on an IEM. I would say at that point, probably about 300 is where you get the maximum improvement, and then things quickly start to get very same-ish as you go up the ladder. I think in general, for most people, it'll be around $80
for IEMs.
Yeah, for IEMs.
Okay, so 80 for IEMs and 300 for headphones?
No. As in for both sides, it'll be like it depends on how much you're willing to spend.
Oh,
like for the average person, you're probably willing to spend about 200. Not really 200.
Yeah, maybe a little less than that.
If you're talking about expensive stuff in this hobby versus my hobby, I'm curious, what is the most expensive thing or whatever in the keyboard space?
I think it's this Key Cult. So they do very limited numbers. They do auctions. So they have this thing, it's called a Victory auction. So there's 10 keyboards, and whoever auctions like number 11, that's the price that they'll take. So I think the last one was like 4,300, or it was either 4,300 or 30 something, but it was up there. And that's just for the case and the PCB in plate.
But that's more on like prices being high because of a very
low
limited
demand.
Supply, right?
Yeah.
In headphones is very different, where it's just the price is high just because.
Just because
like,
it's high.
In terms of like $4,300, it's like Focal Utopia, which is a really popular headphone in itself.
And it's mass produced?
Well. Oh yeah, I mean mass produced.
I mean, like
in like an artisanal sense.
Okay.
But there is no like we're gonna release only like 1,000 units of this now. Just produce, if there's demand, they'll produce it as well.
Yeah, I don't think the keyboard space has reached that point yet. Right now, everything is group buy. Everything is either like 500 units first come first serve, and then maybe we're starting to slowly enter into that. This will become an in-stock item, but like there's maybe 4 or 5 keyboards that are doing that right now. How old is the audiophile space?
In general, or just like the IEM and headphone space? Because there's like different levels. So for example, the speaker space, it has been there since forever. But then we go into headphones, and then that's more like in the last 30 years. Not 30 years. It's still like the first headphones were still pretty old, like in the 1960s or something. But in terms of the hobby itself, like when people started to actually think of headphones as
like popular, went into that peak where it hit the masses.
I'll say that is more like a millennium thing. Like it started around the 2000, and then the IEM space is the youngest. I think the most mainstream IEM started popping up in like the 2010s, and now we're kind of at the peak for IEMs, where you have like 3 or 4 releases going on every week. These are not cheap as well. These releases are like a few $100s going on.
In terms of like keyboards, I think it's a lot younger. I've been in it for maybe like 3-ish years now. Like the gaming mechanical keyboard space is a lot older, but as far as the custom mechanical keyboards go, I would say like maybe 4 to 5 years. It really gained popularity 2 years ago, so like it started booming. But
I've been seeing a lot of like keyboard YouTubing blow up in like the mainstream side of the audience.
Yeah, it wasn't really like it didn't reach the masses until maybe 2 years ago.
It used to be that the original version of this headphone, the HD800, was the most expensive headphone on the market. It was
And
like
now it's
$1,000. And people lost their minds. This was back in the ancient year of 2009. Now $1,000 headphone is like, this budget. That's mid-fi. We call it mid-fi at this point. Nah, you don't understand. The headphone market is insane. Yeah, $1,000, that's mid-fi. It's not even hi-fi, it's mid-fi.
That's insane. See, I knew this hobby was expensive, but that's crazy. If that's just middle tier, middle tier for keyboards is like probably 500.
As far as like 6,000.
Wow.
The Utopia that I just mentioned as well was like, it used to cost 6,000. I think now it's like $4,500. And if we go even higher, we have the absolutely legendary and crazy Sennheiser HE1, which is $60,000.
That's like a big car or a small house.
Yeah, I hope no keyboard ever gets to that price.
I don't know if it will.
The most expensive headphone in the world currently is the Sennheiser HE. Okay, no, there's actually more expensive ones.
Does it warrant its price tag? Like, what separates it from the rest? Like, why is it so expensive?
It is an entire system in itself. So what you get is the headphone, and the headphone doesn't work without the amplifier. At this point, it's not called an amplifier, it's called an energizer. Hey, it's a cat.
Yes, it's a cat.
The energizer is what is required to run this headphone. It's just everything all in. The energizer is built from like a solid block of marble, I think.
Wow.
Everything is all in. Like you could customize the marble because the HE1 is built to order. So if you tell the guy, hey, I don't want marble, I want jade, they would just do it for you. Obviously, you have to pay extra for that, but yeah, they'll just do it for you. You could ask for solid gold block as well. Obviously, again, you have to pay for it.
Or diamond.
Extra, but everything about it is very custom. It was featured in the movie Parasite at one point. If you remember, like, Parasite took place in this rich person's mansion. So it is seen as luxury. And of course, the regular person would never be able to afford a $60,000 headphone.
Yeah,
but
you'd have to be a billionaire. I didn't even know of it to dream of it in the first place until now.
Now you know.
Now I can dream about it.
Most hobbyists would prefer to spend under $10,000, and I know that still sounds like a lot, but yeah, that's like the reasonable person's budget, and I say reasonable with quotation marks here. It's a hobby that could be very cheap or very expensive. $200 in a keyboard space is reasonable.
It's pretty reasonable. Most of the things that come out nowadays are in the 500 area. Like the range of it isn't as wide as the audiophile space. So with most like custom keyboards, you're seeing maybe 300 to 600 or when you enter a group buy.
Yeah, the hobby just goes really expensive very, very fast. And I haven't gone into like DAPs. You know what DAPs are?
No, I know what DACs are, but what are DAPs?
DAPs are digital audio players, MP3 players, but in the audiophile sense.
They don't use their phones anymore. They like buy these specific players.
The phones are for peasants. What? These people, they ball out with like their own actual thick, not phone.
Like the old iPods, with the screen and the wheel.
Not with the wheel, but no. Actually, now a lot of modern DAPs are like, they look like phones, but they're just really, really thick. There's a reason why they call them bricks.
Why do they have to be thick?
The amplifier module takes up some space. The DACs takes up some space. The battery as well. I honestly have not looked into DAPs a lot because again I like to listen off my phone. But
Mhm.
in these cases, the DAPs could cost also upwards of like $5,000 and so on and so forth. And again, this is a cost that's separate from
The head,
IEMs
yeah.
or the headphones.
Wow.
I guess it's equivalent of like the switches costing as much as the boards themselves.
Yeah, I can see that. Or like
see
the computer, I guess, that you need to connect the keyboard to, because you need a computer. A really good setup, including like an amp and a DAC or and an IEM. Like, how much would that cost?
Talking like top of the line.
Yeah, top
type
of the
stuff.
line where it's not a sham.
Do you want me to include the HE1 in there?
No, that's a little too unique, I think, when it's a one of one.
I think the most common setup would be like a high-end headphone that again isn't a sham, which is like a Utopia level, which is about 5,000, 4,000, 5,000. You have an amplifier and DAC stack, which can cost a few thousand on each side as well. So let's just assume that your amplifier and DAC stack is 5,000 as well.
What do you mean on each side? You mean like for the amp and for the DAC?
People will buy
or for like left and right,
a dedicated amplifier and a dedicated DAC.
Okay, and then you just
and all of them are like connected. No, it's like connected to wall power. So you have to basically stack them on top of one. You stack them on top of one another because the DAC needs to connect to the amp.
Mm-hmm.
So this entire setup plus the headphone could cost considerably 10,000 total. There's also other things like the famous one would be audiophile rocks, which is just stones that you put on things and it makes them sound better. It is a thing.
I've never heard of this in my life. Audiophile rocks.
It's like one of those chakra things, but for audio.
I gotta look at audiophile rocks. Oh, it is legit.
It is. I am not lying.
It looks weird.
The snake oil rabbit hole is a different rabbit hole altogether, and there's not snake oil but rather shark oil, where you put shark oil on the contacts of your headphone jack and it makes it sound better. Let me find the link.
All right,
for
this
that.
is wild. I don't think we have anything like this in keyboards. But we have desk mats. They're about $25. They make your keyboard sound better automatically. Here we go. Shark oil, squalene oil, and liquid gold. Costs quite a lot. If I could translate euros to dollars.
$150.
Oh man. It improves your connection.
Yeah.
Made of gold.
Put it on your headphone jack. Makes everything better.
I don't know why someone would believe. I mean, it's got 6 reviews and they're
is it all 5 stars though? Oh no, it's 3.5.
There's 1, 2, and a 4 and a 4.
There is besides shark oil, there's also what I'll affectionately refer to as tennis balls, which is like foam balls that you attach to the cables, and it sounds good as well.
It sounds good.
Good, yeah, good. Like if you hear it, you hear it. This is the whole placebo thing, right? You spend money to hear things that other people can't.
Yeah, okay. So you're basically spending money to be crazy.
Some people, you know, they have too much money. They have more money than sense. Yeah, that's the saying.
Yeah, desk mats. They work. They're $25. You put your keyboard on it, and boom, sounds better than if it was on a table.
Some mats do make the keyboard sound different, though, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on the material you use, like a desk mat versus like a leather mat, or putting a t-shirt on your desk. Like they make different sounds.
Wait, what's the highest that you would spend
on IEMs?
On IEMs, yeah.
I mean, if they're yours, you know, I'm willing to shill out the extra dollars, but normally probably 100.
But again, that's like technically the optimal like price bracket at that point.
For headphones, I think it depends on the comfort. If it's 300 and it's not comfortable, then I'll never I won't put them on. So comfort is a big thing there. Yeah, I'm excited. I learned a lot today, and after this conversation, I definitely agree that the audiophile space is like 10 times more expensive than the keyboard space. Even more than that. It's probably like
Actually, now that I've
100
spoken to
times.
you, I feel like the two spaces, the audiophone and keyboard spaces, are a lot more similar than I thought
Really?
in terms of like pricing. Like the average person would probably spend like
That's true. True. If we're
$200
talking
per
average,
keyboard.
it's very similar. If we're talking the range, I feel like
Yeah. The
audiophile
range is
has
much different,
more
yes,
range. Yeah.
because for keyboards, the expenses are more on the board side, the switch side on the cap side, and the switch side and the cap side don't go too far
Yeah, they
high
have
up
a cap.
in price.
It's usually
Yeah,
like
whereas in the
200.
audiophile space, obviously the headphone and the IEM gets expensive, but then we have the amp and the DAC as well,
Yeah.
which goes even more expensive. And then we have a DAC as well, the MP3 player, the FLAC player, and that could easily triple the price of the setup. That's insane. Yeah, but
Yeah,
there's
that
also, of
is
course, there's a
insane.
reason why people like me tell other new and upcoming budding audiophiles to not waste your money and just settle in a
Not
little
spend
bit.
too much
Don't
stuff.
spend too much money on the amp and DAC until you're absolutely sure that you want to. Those are money sinks. Very, very deep and potentially regrettable time sinks.
Yeah,
Money
and
sinks.
the resale market in the audiophile space isn't
there.
quite as
No.
poppin' as the keyboard space.
But it's good and bad because as we have discussed, the resale
supply
market
is
isn't popping.
better.
It's because we have to supply.
Yeah, you have-
everything's mass produced.
Yeah, that
Who
is
needs a group buy
nice.
in the audiophile space? There's no such thing as group buys in audiophile
Yeah,
space.
I'm waiting for that. I think we're approaching that very slowly in the keyboard space, and maybe in the next, I don't know, 2 to 5 years, we're gonna start seeing some things that are really good but also be mass produced. I really enjoyed our conversation here. I learned a bunch. I hope chat learned a bunch. But before we go, is there anything, any socials, discords, websites, whatever you want to
Socials.
point the people to and tell them, like go follow, go subscribe or whatever, if you like.
Currently, it's just the second channel, Crinacle Plus. I have Twitter and Discord as well. Everything of which is just called Crinacle. Self-explanatory. Please come to my channel, watch things, be educated.
That's right.
Enjoy the shit posting, because not all audiophile channels are as shit posty as me, unfortunately. I think that's all.
That's what we want. All right. Well, have a good night, everyone. I hope you learned something, because I learned a ton. Probably gonna drop a few $1,000 more on audiophile stuff, but it is what it is. And good night.
Good night, everybody.